In John chapter 14 through 16, we have a discourse of Jesus with the apostles before his crucifixion. Now, many Muslims take this passage and actually argue that the person that's being sent after Jesus is not the Holy Spirit, it is Muhammad. So they argue that the Paraclete is not the Holy Spirit, it is Muhammad. So we're going to look at relevant passages within this. We're not going to read the whole thing because that's going to take too long. We're going to read the most relevant points, parts of the passage, and to show you how this is not Muhammad and that this actually contradicts Islam. So first of all, I'm gonna anticipate an objection that is gonna say, well, the Bible is corrupted, so there's parts that are gonna contradict the Quran, but there's parts that are true, and this creates an epistemic problem for arguing that Muhammad is in here. Because how the heck do you know if it's Muhammad if it's corrupted? If the text is corrupted, then wouldn't the other parts be corrupted? How are some parts corrupted but others not? It just doesn't. It's incoherent. It does not make any sense, logical sense. It's incoherent to say that it's corrupted, but Muhammad is there. Either Muhammad is in there and the text is uncorrupted, or the text is corrupted and you won't be able to find Muhammad. There's no in between. Now that we've laid that out, I want to appeal to one thing. First of all, you have Surah 19, verse ayah 88 to 94. It says, "The disbelievers say, 'The Lord of mercy has offspring.' How terrible is this thing you assert? It almost causes the heavens to be torn apart, the earth to split asunder, the mountains to crumble to pieces, that they attribute offspring to the Lord of mercy. It does not befit the Lord of mercy to have offspring. There is no one in the heavens or earth who will not come to the Lord of mercy as a servant. He has counted them all, he has numbered them exactly. The people that come to Allah are servants. They are not his sons. So by calling God a father, you are almost causing heaven and earth to rip apart and mountains to crumble. Yet that is exactly what we see repeatedly throughout this passage. The Father is mentioned over and over and over and over again. Another thing, let's look at verse 6 here. Jesus said to him, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father." Oh, excuse me, my voice cracked. No one comes to the Father except through me. Notice what he says. I am the truth. Now, if we look at the Quran, I believe it is Surah 22, right? 2262. Yep, Surah 2262. It says, "So it will be because it is God alone who is the truth. And whatever else they invoke is sheer falsehood. It is God who is the most high, the most great." Great. So I don't know if this translation is a bit faulty, but it says, because it is God alone who is the truth. Allah alone who is the truth. Yet what does Jesus say? I am the truth. So if we're going to take this passage to be a prophecy of Muhammad, then we're going to have to accept that Jesus claimed to be Allah that sends Muhammad. Verse 13 to 14. "And whoever you ask in my name, that I will do, that the Father may be glorified in the Son. If you ask anything in my name, I will do it." There's actually a variant here. So the NU text has "ask me," so specifically to Jesus. But even without that, the strong implication from verse 13 and 14 is that you're going to ask in prayer, and Jesus is going to answer those prayers. Let's look at the first point, verse 16 to 17. "And I will pray to the Father, and he will give you another helper, that he may abide with you forever, the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive, because it neither sees him nor knows him. But you know him, for he dwells with you and will be in you." So first of all, Jesus is going to pray to the Father to send the Parakleton. It says in Greek, the Parakleton, that he may abide with you forever. The Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive, because it neither sees him nor know him. But the apostles know him, for he dwells with you and will be in you. So, 3 questions. 1, are there any records of the apostles knowing Muhammad? 2, did Muhammad dwell with the apostles? And 3, will Muhammad be in the apostles? Those are some things to consider. Verse 26, that's what I was also going to mention. "But the helper, specifically identified as the Holy Spirit, The Holy Spirit is the helper, whom the Father will send in my name. He will teach you all things and bring you to remembrance all things I said to you. So the Holy Spirit is actually explicitly identified as the Parakletos or Parakleton in verse 17. It's different cases. That's not much of an issue. So Jesus himself would be sending the Parakletos, the Paraclete. Did Jesus send Muhammad? No, that was Allah that sent Muhammad. So if we're going to take this passage to be a prophecy of Muhammad, then Jesus is Allah that sent Muhammad. Nevertheless, I tell the truth. It is to your advantage that I go away. For if I do not go away, the helper will not come to you. But if I depart, I will send him to you. So this is not talking about the actual presence of where the Holy Spirit is, but rather where he's going in a more metaphorical sense. So, for example, there's John 3:8, where the Spirit goes where he wishes. You can't tell where he's going or where it comes. That's talking about being born again. That's not literally where the Spirit is. There's also Acts chapter 2, which is what this is talking about, where the Holy Spirit actually comes upon the apostles, where the power of the Holy Spirit is with the apostles. So people bring up that verse to say, well, where's the Holy Spirit? He's omnipresent, but this verse says that he's going to be sent to them. But that's not what it's talking about. It's not talking about his actual presence. It's presence in the sense of his power is with him.
So just to address an objection I forgot about, people argue that the Holy Spirit already existed, so he can't be sent, but I honestly don't understand the logic of this. You can already exist and be sent, like with Jesus. Jesus already existed, but he's sent. Likewise, the Holy Spirit already existing can still be sent. Think of the analogy of a firefighter. If there's a fire, they're going to be sending the firefighter you have right there, not a firefighter 20 years later that's being trained. You know, that's urgency. You need the fire fought right there. So, no, the Holy Spirit already existing does not negate the fact that he's being sent.
Verse 13, the last one, because it's another objection. However, when he, the Spirit of truth, has come, he will guide you into all truth, for he will not speak on his own authority, but whatever he hears, he will speak, and he will tell you the things to come. So people say, well, the Holy Spirit, he's not speaking on his own authority. That means he's not God. But it's the same thing with Jesus. So Jesus willingly limits himself so that he's calling to the authority of the Father always. He does things on his own authority sometimes, but he's subject to the authority of the Father willingly. I think the same thing is going on here with the Holy Spirit. The Father and the Son are the ones who sent him. And so therefore the Holy Spirit is subject to their authority. Whatever he hears, he will speak. Not his own things, the authority of the Father. And this is by his own will. You could also go with monarchical Trinitarianism, which states that the Son and the Spirit are eternally subject to the Father, if I'm not mistaken, which I don't necessarily hold to it, but if you want to go with it, if you can articulate it well, sure, go with that. But the point being is the Holy Spirit, it's not because he doesn't have God's authority. He does. He's God. However, he's calling to the authority of the Father, willingly subjecting himself to the mission. That's why it says he won't speak in his own authority. So, no, this is not about Muhammad. This is about the Holy Spirit.